we're going to do the top 20. At some point, decisions have to be made. The list is going to get worse before it gets better, but progress has to be made. We've got to move forwards. So I'm going for a top 20, going to a first visitation of what that might look like. So one of the strategies as you're making through your list is that some natural tiers start to form, and we have to make tiers and we have to break tiers. And as much as a top 10 sounds nice and neat, just the top 10, stop there, it just didn't seem appropriate with these players. I was getting caught on the cusp. There's some guys as high, could go as high as 8, but then if I pulled them down for another reason, as low as 15. So there wasn't a natural top 10, but I do believe I found a natural top 20. We know what stats we've been looking at. Enough is enough. We've got to move forward through players. And so one narrative underneath it all, referring to our two favorite things, power and speed, is that there is a lot of power out there. There are 60 plus guys with 30 home run power. There's high-end, elite, creme de la creme power that we have to be aware of. So the sheet so far, my approach for the season, the list that I'm developing, it leans power. It highlights power. And then as we circle back, the thing that's nice in terms of speed is that knowing speed so well, maybe now I don't overpay for speed because I know where to get speed with the middle players. And the work goes in here. The work goes in, and this is important for auctions because in Snake, it's gonna be balanced. Like it's just gonna fall out. You're gonna get a turn. You're gonna get a player. But auction is competitive. You can't just get blown around in an auction. You really have to know the difference between players. And you get to a point where it's not necessarily that one player, this player is better, and then that player is better and better. But as we get down deeper into the pool, players are different. Players maybe often offer different potential. You might need them for different reasons, different positions. So this is why we understand the players and why we really understand those top players. So speed talk, real talk on speed talk, out of the gates, just some players where we're not completely compromising and having no power, but a little bit of speed, a little bit of power. These guys have to be pushed up because there's not going to be some imaginary guys that come along and just offer you all this surprise speed and power. There's just that we have to deal with the MLB. They're not going to drop it. Players aren't going to rein into the league. So Betts, we're going to see him get a push up. Obviously, Trey Turner and Villar, a lot of middle infield speed is coming from those two. Ozuna and Danny Santana, who we might have to look into. Was it a real breakout? Is the opportunity still there? But he took bases, Danny Santana. Javi Baez and Yon Moncada. Now, Baez disappointed with the power, but it didn't all disappear. The speed didn't all disappear to nothing. So 2020 floor for Baez and Moncada, they've got to be thought about in the overall scheme. We jump back over to a little cluster of outfielders. Yasiel Puig, Starling Marte, and Tommy Pham. Just some basement. 20 steals is going to be a lot, guy. 15 steals, that's going to make the difference. And then an Ozzy Albies and a Jose Ramirez, who people might be a little more tepid on. Jose, we can get him at a reasonable price. Albies, I'm sure the crowds are still going wild for. So there's your speed players that have to get a bump up on your list or at least be highlighted so that you know that they're out there or where you find them. Because your plan could be middle infield speed. It could be Trey, but suddenly it doesn't work out. You had to jump on a Yordan Alvarez. You couldn't pay for it, and so you settle into a Villar. You know that Javi Baez is a must own for you late because you didn't get any speed. Just something to think about. So let me swing back over here. Pushing up just how to do it to your sheet, kind of mechanical here. I'm pushing up a skeleton of power. Just the bare bones, good old-fashioned home run sort. Look at who is on the top here. And this highlighted a lot of the reason going into the top 20 that I did here. But you get Pete Alonso, Suarez, Soler, really up high at 48 home runs. Not just 40 or mid-40s, that's upper end 40s. You see a Gleyber Torres went for 38 home runs. That's a lot of power. Josh Bell with 37 home runs. That's high end. He's the 16th player. We got to push him up. Jump over to the outfield. Kepler, JD Martinez can't be forgotten about. Muncy has to come up. And then after the power starts to middle, there's a lot of 32. There's a lot of 2, 32, 33. I can't differentiate. Cole Calhoun, I don't want to start overpaying there. Eddie Rosario, what's really behind there? This skeleton of power has to be up in your draft so that you know where to find it. The ADP will start to distort, and these power guys are going to jump out. But that's where I started to reach down and just grab a little bit of that speed, that Francisco Lindor, that Austin Meadows, making sure that those guys are premium or pushed up on your list a little bit there. So, getting to the top 20 after we push up some power, one thing in shaping out the top 20, Trevor Story, Francisco Lindor. Digging into the bat, there just wasn't enough pure home run bat. There wasn't 40 home run upside, 45, 50 home run upside, which I'm tending to lean to because I've got so much power to keep up with. Even Freddie Freeman, who flashed 38 home runs, that's high for Freddie, and Freddie is known for power outages. So, as much as I thought for a second you couldn't get out of the top 10 without a piece of Freddie Freeman, if he could guarantee me 35 to 38 more home runs, he's the kind of player that represents at age 30 a little bit of a risk that those home runs fall flat, and now I'm super light on power, and I can't really risk that this season with Freddie. Another subtle narrative is I think, as much as Donaldson's numbers seem to be Mirage-esque, I think the Braves miss him in the lineup in terms of run production just a little bit, just a reason to temper a little bit of that Braves outfield, that Braves lineup. So, another interesting one was Eugenio Suarez, 49 home runs. He's there. Launch angle is there. Helps him make up for a lighter exit velo. Added more launch angle. 49 home runs. Preeminent home run leader. For a second, I go, I can't pass on him out of the top 9. But then you look at the run environment. The runs, the RBIs are a little bit low. The average wasn't spectacular. So a couple divisive guys. You've got to figure out where you're going with Suarez or Freddie Freeman, but you can't hate these guys. You can't disregard these players. The reason I push up power is because the best predictor of future power is past power. Guys that hit 35 plus home runs are likely to be on the list of 35 plus home runs next season. We're just identifying where the power is, backing it up with launch angle and a little bit of BABIP. Let's get into the top 20. I will just refresh. Ronald Acuna, Mike Trout, Christian Yelich, Cody Bellinger, and Juan Soto. Did anything get me off of Juan Soto? He wasn't the highest in all these numbers, guys. The stats, he's on the list. He's top 10, he's top 15, he's balanced. He isn't the preeminent slugger in any particular thing, but he's so good and he's so young that I have him at the 5 spot for what's to come, just for what might be possible. Number 6, playing into this power narrative out in front of power, Pete Alonso. Yes, I know it's strikeout-y power. It's 25K to 10% walk rate power, but it was 52 home runs. Sweet launch angle. I don't know what comes behind it. The run environment was okay. There were runs, there were RBI, and I just think 52 homers on the board, that's 20 more homers than what that average 30 power is going to look like this season. I'm pushing Pete Alonso up. He was a bulldog. He is built like a tank. That swing is short and compact. I want 50 more home runs. I want 51-20 to anchor my 1B spot. Power is scarce. Number 7. I've been all around the place with this player. Mookie Betts. I bounced him down, but then down seems too low. And then there's not enough power, so I put him down. But then there's some speed. I put him up, but he's not running. I put him back down. Betts is getting the historical nod here for just being so pure at the plate, for being so productive, for being able to get hot, for having pure contact. I think you could really be regretting passing on Mooks, who could quickly go 30-30, 300 average historically. I just got to put him at 7 because I don't think I can get around him, and I don't want to start throwing in too much speculation without just taking him off the board. Number 8, Nolan Arenado. Just stick with it. It's 40 home run power, 100, 110, 300 average. So when I'm sorting the home run power, I'm looking at who does it cleanly, who does it sub 20K percentage, not 25, 26 swing and miss. Arenado down there at 15. I don't think you can get out of this round and skip on one of the best players the league has seen for the past 5 years. Alex Bregman. And I was asked a little bit to dibble-dabble on what I think about the impact of the Houston Astros scandal. From a fantasy perspective, it makes me want to question their numbers. I mean, Breg has always had a good eye, but 16% walk rate to 13% K rate, that's amazing. Breggs is hitting home runs without hitting barrels. He is a stingy slap hitter. I don't know. I'm like, how could Breggs hit 41 home runs but only have 22 barrels? He's working at a very soft exit velo of 88, maybe keeping him under the home run number, but it's so clean and perfect launch angle wise that he's still getting home runs without barrels. Just an interesting player. Would it help to have a from the dugout? If it's an off-speed pitch, would that help a little bit? It could. It could, because hitting a ball is so hard in the MLB, and these guys sit around. Every possible edge is conceived of. They're trying to win rings and World Series. Their whole lives and careers and families depend on them having these kinds of wins and W's and staying relevant. So the need to compete, the need to get little edges, to maybe wear buzzers and tip and steal signs and set up cameras, the need is there. The desire is going to be there as long as the competition is there. And when you're close, you want to get that much closer. Maybe you'll deflate a ball a little bit. Maybe you'll dope some blood, whatever it might be. And in a way, that is technology. It's technology and rules and gamesmanship, and it's muddied. So yes, Bregman had a good season. So did Altuve. So did Springer. Could there be a step back if he's not being told when the off-speed pitches are? Maybe a little bit. Is he a little bit short and undersized? Yes, but the eye is that good. I don't think you get out of the round. I'm going to leave Bregman in there. His time has come as the number 9 player. And welcome a newcomer into the top 10 because we like barrels and we like exit velocity and launch angle. Jorge Soler. Let's accept it. Bad park, run environment. He overcame all of that. Is he hitting it hard? Yes, he's 6'4". He's found his stroke. He's always had good launch angle. If we want to ignore him, how far do we push down the barrel leader? How far do you want to push down the barrel leader that had 48 home runs last season? He's got the same type of power as Pete Alonso, or even Aaron or Eugenio Suarez. So it's that little bit strikeouty, bulk power. Powering through, the list doesn't stop here. Those last two, Bregman's for being small or Soler for being new. I could take Yordan Alvarez at number 11. Yordan Alvarez, it came in amazing. Launch angle looks amazing. Hard hit is amazing. You know whose angle doesn't look good? Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So we're gonna have to get back to that at some point. But Yordan's looks good. Yordan is 6'5". That looks good. You know who's taller than Yordan? My number 12 player, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge looks good. Those exit velocities look good. Do I need more from the launch angle? Yes. But the lineup couldn't be any better. So if you want to take Judge over Bregman, I understand. I understand that. It starts to be a matter of safety, maybe position scarcity. Let's keep going. The cluster drops down. As much as I had to push those two out, let me see where the count is at. Let me see. From the top, Aaron Judge was 12. That would be probably a cusp. Now, who would you get lucky on the back way coming across the second round? How did I let Trevor Story fall this far? Number 13. The speed is there. The power. Is there some swing and miss? Yes. The exit velocity is not amazing, but he's toolsy, and it's Colorado with lineup support. Francisco Lindor. I like Lindor more than Bregman. I mean, to push him down here, is this because I can't see past the ankle injury from last season? Wasn't Lindor the hands-down number 4 player last season? Is Francisco Lindor better than Juan Soto? Is the position scarcity, does that matter? So Lindor, man, to get him around the second round would be amazing. Here's a bump up. Gleyber Torres. Welcome to the Gleyber Torres year. Is he going to hit third in the lineup? Did he really hit 38 home runs last season? Is there more to come? I think Gleyber's got to be one of the sexiest players this season. After Gleyber, Eugenio Suarez. Suarez being pushed down this far, it was hard to do to him. I have him down here at 16. I thought Eugenio probably had to go after Bregman around Soler because it's that strikeouty, Pete Alonso-esque, high launch angle, 45-plus home run power that's going to keep you out in front of power a little bit. Right after Suarez, if you don't like it strikeouty and you don't need it too home runny and you want average, Rendon? How can Rendon is the swing take leader in runs? Rendon might have been a top 5 hitter in all the game last season. To drop him this low, he's leaving a good lineup, going to a Mike Trout-filled lineup, so there should be RBI, there should be protection. His plate discipline is elite. He's always been stingy. He found power stroke. He's been known to get a little bit of soft tissue injuries. I'm glad he strung a whole season together, but this is a guy who can cramp up at any moment. I don't want to forget about that, and I understand how studly he was last season. So I got to put him in there. So now, see, this is what I mean at third. Can I say Suarez or Rendon? They're better at different things. Suarez is home running. Rendon is averagey. Rendon is getting lineup support with Trout and who's around him. Suarez is getting empty home runs because there's not enough guys on base. Maybe that changes if Senzel takes a step forward. Let's round out this top 20. The last 3 guys, I believe it's number 18. Freddie Freeman falling all the way down here. I thought Freddie could go as high as 8. And then I saw that he was 30 years old, and I got spooked. I panicked. I spooked. I saw multiple years of 22 home runs. I saw what could be an outlier season in terms of home runs. I thought about Donaldson's absence, and I got spooked to all the way down the back end of the second. Player number 18, rounding it out with 2 outfielders that can't be ignored. Fan favorites, crowd favorites. Springer, who take the Houston narrative and apply it to George Springer. Were the home runs because you were getting from the dugout with the camera, is that where the difference was made? I know you're getting older. You don't run. Why would any of you guys run? You all stopped running in unison because it's better to hit when you know what the pitch is than run around because it's risky. And last but not least, a guy who I would take third last season is Bryce Harper. There's been a slight fall in skills, but it's Bryce Harper, and he's 27 or 28. Him going that far, take him over any player on the list that you don't like that much, and that's going to round out a solid top 20. I want to leave you off with the tiers. Make tiers and break tiers. Get a little cluster together. Find a guy, stick him in a cluster, and then slow down and break a tier apart for some reason. Add some highlights to your list. Add little words to the guy's name, some color. There's ways to really break it out. I'm going to give you a couple tiers where I think you should be at. We should all be at in the outfield. Franmil Reyes, Kepler, Meadows. As we mentioned, Azuña and Danny Santana for speed. Stanton, Blackman, and Eloy Jimenez. They're close. Those guys are close. That's power. I have Stanton down here. Where's Stanton on the list? He could be better than someone in my top 20. Third base, aging Josh Donaldson. Matt Chapman. Rafael Devers, the hard hit leader. He's not in the top 20? Are we sure? Joey Gallo and Sano at third, or first or third. Lot of power from those two. Gallo hit 250. Looks, injuries held him back. Looks like he's a serious player to reckon with. Shortstop, did you miss out on the big group? Correa, Trey Turner, Bogarts, Villar Simeon, Mondesi, Tatis Jr., and Semien. Where do I want to live in there? Is Price going to control what I do at short? Or am I going to pick one of these Tatis, Mondesi, Trey Turner? Bogarts for safety. Do I finally have to buy some Bogarts? Second base, we talked Baez, Moncada, maybe Kettle, Marte, LeMahieu, Keston Hiura, Jose Ramirez. I don't want to get much deeper than that. Garrett Hampson has the lowest hard hit in the league. That probably is holding him back. First base, you get a little cluster of power, your little power cluster. In case you got to tap in for power, if you were buying speed, you got to get into some Matt Olson, Josh Bell, Rizzo, Goldschmidt, Muncy, with old man Nelson Cruz, Kyle Schwarber, and JD Martinez. That's the next meet. So if I drop 20, that's 20 through 40. That's 20 through 50 stuff where I got to be right. I got to get out in front of power. Big shout out to all the subscribers. Fantasy baseball statistics, grinding through the sheet, custom knowledge. Holler at your